Hello, sweet souls. Welcome to my June inspiration. So, you're either viewing this because you're on my Living Inspiration newsletter, or you're on my YouTube channel, or my Instagram. So, every month I am leaving a personal message and putting it on my newsletter and all my other social media. So, I love celebrating the energy of the month. And for those of you who follow me and read my newsletters, you are most likely aware I'm always looking to what is the energy of the month. And so I'm always looking for inspiration for that and how to sort of align our own energies with the energy that's being given. So I want to share with you a story about transformation, because I feel in June is a time where things are blossoming, coming into fruition. So as we look out, we see all the birds and they're laying their eggs and all the bees, and there's just all this amazing activity happening. Everything is flowering and there's just amazing fragrance moving through the air, and there is just this feeling of aliveness and rebirth. So for this month, I just feel like there's this energy of rebirth, and I want to share a little story with you. So the reason that I named my business Living Inspiration, and those of you who are my clients, you're either my coaching clients, or you're my bodywork client, my massage client, or you've gotten a mediumship reading from me. So the reason why I named my business Living Inspiration, because I wanted my life, what I've gone through and the challenges, to be an inspiration for others, for all the obstacles and things that I have actually moved through and changed. I wanted to be able to help people and share with them my struggles, and how the work I now teach, and the work and the healing I do is really a result from my own desire to change my life, my own desire to thrive, my own desire to live in joy. I remember as a kid, every time, every birthday that I ever had, when you blow out the candles, you have to make a wish. And my wish was always that I just wanted to be happy. Happiness was the thing that I was striving for. I lived in a family that there were a lot of troubles and challenges. I had a mother who really, at her essence, was really an unhappy person. So I think that my desire to be happy was a result or a consequence of the unhappiness in my family, that I witness and I experience. So I feel like the reason that it's so important for me to be an inspiration, is important to help others. You cannot help others through what you haven't been through. And so in my life, I still have challenges, and I always look at them as opportunities for growth. And it's interesting because every time I move through a growth, I call them growth bumps, I move through a growth bump because of something that happens in my life. It's so interesting how those people then who are moving through similar things show up at my doorstep. And because I have moved through those things. And I want to share something with you, and why this month feels like this a growth and transformation. Recently, I think I shared with you on my last message how I'd moved through a really challenging period with my mother, having to move her to a group home and having a lot of different extenuating circumstances that made it very, very difficult without going into a lot of story. So it feels like the last 4 months, I've just been continuously dealing with one thing after another thing after another thing. And then I had to deal with another situation that sort of erupted. And man, it turned me just kind of, it threw me off track. And I feel so blessed because I feel like I have the awareness, I have the practices, I have the antidote to really help me in situations that rattle me and throw me off. So in life, it's not about getting to a certain place in your life and just you're sailing smooth. And true, we do have points in our life where we're just kind of, things are just going and flowing and it's beautiful. But when we're wanting to get to that next place in our life, whether we want to create something new, whether we want to write a book, or it doesn't matter what it is, we're always having to really peel away what is really blocking us from moving forward with certain things. And it's a way that we can merge into that new space so that we can create that new dream or whatever it is we're looking to create. So last week, I want to get to the story. So last week, I was just really thrown, and I felt like I had started to just kind of get back on my feet and create some flow in my life. And then another thing came up, and I just was knocked off kilter. And I thought, I really need to go for a walk. So for me, being in nature is a really healing antidote when I feel off track. So in my work as a coach, I teach people how to meditate, and I'm a daily meditator. But sometimes we get so discombobulated that for me, meditation doesn't work. So I have several different tools and things that I do that really help me just get seated back into myself so I'm not in a place of reaction. Because when you're in a place of reaction, when you're off and you try to do things, it just dominoes and makes a mess out of everything. And I know that, and I knew that for the day I had all these plans to be productive and do all these things, and that was completely out the window, and I felt in reaction to that. And so I really wanted to just lay down and go to sleep because I felt so exhausted and so defeated. But I know from experience that when we either do something that's static, like go to sleep, and it can be helpful and you can get a nap and you can feel better. I'm not dismissing that activity. But when we do something that's more static, or whether it's watch TV or distract ourselves, and again, I'm not dismissive. Sometimes we need that little distracted so we can just get out of our mind. But for me, my go-to that's just more far reaching and more clearing and more healing to just be out in nature. So I literally force myself to not lay down, and I was just laying on my bed like, I just want to take a nap, I just want to go to sleep. And I'm like, don't do it, because what happens is that we need to sort of clear and metabolize our feelings and let things move through us. If we do something that's more static, it just sits there with us. So I went for my walk. And on my walk, I told my husband, I said, you know what? I like to set intention. And in my coaching work, we do a lot of intention setting. And instead of like going around and round, when you have a problem and you just kind of talk it to death, I said, I just really want to move into a different place within myself. I don't want to keep spinning the wheel about what's happened. So I am going to set the intention just for this walk that whatever is sort of the action I should take before the end of the day, because I felt really like I hadn't gotten things done, I'm just going to walk and I'm just going to let things go, and I'm going to see what it is that I really need to do for the day before the day ends. And then I'm going to just ask, like, what is it that I need to understand from this current situation that has um, activated me in such into a negative state. So I had really two intentions for the walk. And so as we were walking along, I did dialogue a little bit about the things that I was thinking about, but just lightly, and then I began to let it go. And I was having these thoughts about when I teach, and maybe some of you heard about the idea of law of attraction, is that whatever we're thinking and feeling, we begin to create in our reality, and our beliefs are also create our reality. And this is something I teach in my coaching as well, to help people break old patterns so that they can create new experiences and new things in their life. So I began to think about this, and I began to think about this because in walking, if I set an intention just to let things go, because if you stay in those thoughts, if you're angry, and I was very upset about the situation, you stay in that. First of all, you don't open up to really maybe see a broader perspective of what's going on, because you're just really in it. And secondly, what happens is that you begin to draw in a similar energy. You've all probably experienced this, like when you're in a bad mood, like when things are just not going right, you get in the car and then you're stuck in traffic, and then you have construction, and then someone cuts you off, and then the person at the coffee shop is not very nice to you, and you keep having these same experiences, and you're like, this is a crappy day. And the reason why it's a crappy day is because you did not stop to reset yourself in a different way. So for me, being in nature is basically resetting my whole energy field. And sometimes it takes a while. I have to, when I'm really upset, there's a certain amount, it was about 2 miles that I have to walk to really begin to shift my mindset, my emotions, and my energy. And when I first started walking, I literally felt like I had a brick in my back between my shoulder blades. Like I really felt like so heavy in the back, heavy in the heart. And by the end of my walk, I felt completely free. I did not feel that heaviness. So it goes to show you that our mindset and our emotions have affect us physically. The thing that I really want to share on this walk is that I set this intention, and as we're walking along, I wanted to talk to my husband about, hey, because I really believe in my coaching, I teach people, in my coaching and my mediumship, actually, I teach people about how that in the world that we get communication through signs and symbols, right? In terms of like maybe our loved ones are coming in and there's a particular bird and it catches our attention. It reminds us of our loved one that's passed away. And these are just ways that you can understand the interconnectedness of our world and our energy. So I was getting ready to tell my husband, do you think that like everything that shows up is a sign and a symbol, and that we can attach a meaning to it? And so because I want to share a story with him about something that had occurred when we were on a trip together, because I thought it was very indicative of something, trying to show something. Anyway, so as I'm getting ready and I'm prepping him with, law of attraction or energy, like, does everything have meaning to it? Or is it just the things that we really pay attention to or that really catch our attention? And I believe that's true. It's not that everything has a meaning. I mean, we could assign a meaning to every little thing, but that would drive us crazy and we'd be just caught up in that. But I think it's more that something that catches your attention, whether it's a certain animal or maybe a certain bumper sticker on the back of someone's car that catches your attention. I do believe that those are signs from our higher consciousness, signs from our loved ones. And so I'm talking about this, and I haven't shared the story I'm going to share to him, when all of a sudden I look down and I see something in the grass, and I'm like, what is that? And I stop and I look down in the grass, And it looks like something sort of translucent, and I begin to pull it out. And as I begin to pull it out of the grass, I realize, I have it right here, I'm going to show you. I realize that it is the skin of a snake. And some of you who've made it this far to watch will be like, ew, that's gross. You have a skin of the snake. It is so cool. And right in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a sign. This is a sign that my current challenges are offering me an opportunity to shed what's not serving me in my life. Now, that can be a lot of things. It can be shedding a certain belief about the world, about yourself, about others. It can just be shedding a pattern that you have. It might even be shedding certain people in your life that are not serving you. So for me, finding this snakeskin was so significant to me. It literally changed me in an instant, because I knew that I know that I have all this support, and I knew the message was giving me hope and to remind me that every single challenge in our life is there to offer you the opportunity for growth. And something that I teach in my coaching is, and some of you may have already heard this, is this idea that life is happening for you, not to you. And why is that so important? Because if we think that life is happening to us, like cruddy things are just happening, we feel super disempowered. We feel like we have no control. But when we understand that life is happening for us, we begin to engage with our troubles and with our challenges in a much, much different way. We begin to realize that it's asking something of us. It's asking us to heal something. It's asking us to shed something like the snake sheds. And the whole idea of the snake shedding is to shed that old skin so that new skin and fresh skin can be present. And so life, in very much the same way, is doing the same thing when it presents challenges in your life. So for me, finding the snakeskin was so amazing because it helped me to remember life is happening for me, not to me. And it's such a powerful way to reframe your experiences in life. So then I have to share another amazing piece. Then I walk all the way to the end of where I walk, and I'm just feeling like so light on my feet. In an instant, everything changed within me in an instant. And this is also due to all the self-development work I've done, all the spiritual work I've done, and my experience as a coach. My ability to kind of flip things on a dime is much easier than it was, 5, 10, 15 years ago. But the more you engage with life in a different way, and you learn practices and you learn tools on how to really shift yourself and have more awareness, begin to be able to forgive yourself, forgive other people, to begin how to really have more an empowered life of setting your intention and knowing that you can change really in an instant, is pretty miraculous. So as I'm coming back from my walk, I see something moving in the grass right along where I found the shedded skin. And lo and behold, you probably guessed, it was the snake. The snake. And I knew it was the snake who had shed its skin because it was in that area. And I will probably put the video on the end of this talk, so make sure you stay to the end. But all of a sudden I saw this beautiful, beautiful snake. I don't know what kind of snake it is. I haven't looked it up. This beautiful snake came slithering through. And usually I'd be like, ooh, I gotta get away from this. But I got my video and I took it, and it came right toward me, and its head, her head, I want to say her head because I felt like it was a female. Her head came, it came close up, and the head came up and looked right at me. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this isn't a powerful message. And for me, the message was, you've got this. You've got this. You don't need to let this tear you apart and bring you down. You need to let it build you up. You need to engage with it in a way and see it as an opportunity for your growth, and see it as an opportunity to shed something that's not serving you. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that June is really a time of rebirth. You see it in the natural world. You see things being pollinated. Like I said, you see the birds, you see, nature just reproducing, and it is a time for birth. And before we can have that rebirth, we must be willing to let something go. So as you think about this month, I want you to think about what's been happening in your life. What challenges are you up against? How are you viewing those challenges? And then just ask yourself, what is the opportunity for growth here? If life is happening for me and not to me, then this experience must be wanting to offer me some insight and some awareness about perhaps what's not serving me, what I need to let go of, what I need to forgive, what I need to surrender. So I want you to engage with this time of looking at what you need to surrender so that you can come into this energy of June, this more alive, more vibrant, more ready to just create. So think about that. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you only follow me through my email, you can also follow me through IG. I post a lot of stories and a lot of inspiration there, as well as I have been populating my YouTube channel, which I put these talks on as well. So find me there and subscribe or following me there if you want just continued inspiration for living, because I feel like that is my purpose in life, to be a living inspiration. And it's through my challenges and moving through my challenges that enables me to really help people within my work. And also, as I say that, if you're not signed up for my Mama Guru and you want to have inspiration through your week, I send a channeled inspirational message 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can sign up for that. And if you do and you don't receive it, just send me an email so I can make sure you're on that list. And that's just another way, if you need, you don't have to open them, but if you feel inspired to open them, I get a lot of emails from people, which just really warms my heart, is that they're like, wow, I really needed to hear that. So just to educate you a little bit about what is a channeled message. So a channeled message is when I go into more of a meditative state and I just sort of bring in a message that will resonate, or it might not resonate for every person, but will resonate and bring meaning and bring inspiration and bring understanding and compassion and empathy to those people who have signed up to read them. So that's the only intention with those. So I hope you have a beautiful June. And please, 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 I love to hear from you. Either message me in on my Instagram or send me an email, and just let me know if you've watched this, if you've just kind of considered and thought about what you're moving through and what you want to let go. I love hearing that, and I love sharing that. Um, um, I love sharing that with other people too. It's an inspiration for others. Um, we inspire each other, and I really want to create a community within my work where we really inspire and support each other. So that's it for today. If you've listened all the way through this, I really appreciate it. And this if this message is inspiring and you know other people who might really need to hear what I have to say, then please share my email. You can share my website or my Instagram. I so appreciate that. Take care and blessings.